Hey everybody, welcome back to Nielsen Networking. I know you've seen them. The attention seekers on social media posting everything from their meals for the day to the result of those meals for the day. The friend who's a few beers short of a six-pack. Or the one who actually is drinking a six-pack while driving. And then there's the ones that just leave you speechless. But what do all these lovely people have to do with OSINT, you ask? Well, everything. So, what is OSINT? For anyone who may not be aware, let's go ahead and spell it out. OSINT stands for open, or short for, I should say, open source intelligence. And it is defined as intelligence produced by collecting, evaluating, and analyzing publicly available information with the purpose of answering a specific intelligence question. Information versus intelligence. Isn't that weird how that just lined up perfectly? Well, what's the difference, you ask? The difference would be, I give you a report, you know there's great information in this report. It's just information at that point, right? You haven't read it, you don't know anything about it, you just know there's good data there, right? Now let's say you take it a step further and you review that report, you analyze that report, you go through it and you sift through and take out what you need. What you take out is the intelligence, it's what you need. You've had time to interpret what is in that report and what is useful to you for whatever task you're trying to accomplish. That's the difference, and it's very important because there's a lot of information, out on the internet, in a library, a public records office. There's just so much. It's important, in which we're going to focus on, is how to get out the information you need for the task at hand. And where can you find open source information? You can find it all over, but I'm just going to go over a few here that I thought were interesting. Public records, websites, meaning the internet, images and videos, believe it or not, and of course the dark web, and many, many more. But who uses OSINT? Are these just hackers or, the government or whoever it might be? No. You know who uses it? Everyone. And you've used it. I'll give you an example. Let's say you have a dating app. Let's just go with that. You have a dating app, right? And you find this person and you're like, oh, wow, I want to know more about them. What do? You go on their Facebook, you go on their LinkedIn, you're practically stalking them at this point. But you go out and you gather more information, right? That's what you're doing. Or if you're a company and you're hiring someone, you might go out on the internet, look at their Facebook posts, see what, hopefully they, as you saw at the intro, hopefully you weren't looking at any of those people, but that's what you're going to do. You're gathering this information and you probably didn't even know that you were doing OSINT at that point. So what are the objectives of this video? To discover how OSINT is used in security and intelligence gathering, ethical hacking, and penetration testing. With that said, we're going to get into it. Okay, so to get started, I'm going to ask everyone watching the video, for the time being, to please imagine that you work for a cybersecurity company and your company has been hired by another company to perform a penetration test. And the only thing is, with this company, they're not going to give you any information other than their company name. They're not going to give you IPs, domains, subnets, who works there, nothing. That's all you're getting. Think black hat-ish. And for our imaginary pen test here, we're going to go and say the company's name is Nmap Software LLC. So with limited information being the company name, how can we get things going? And we're obviously going to need more information about the company, right? Like we're going to need to know who works there. What do they do? What do they even do? And with all that in mind, I want to introduce you to our first tool of the video, which is something known as Google Dorks. And you've probably seen this if you have any interest in, what it is. But I'm going to take this hopefully a step further and actually show you how it works and give you a better understanding. That said, Google Dorking, for those of you who don't know, and it's also known as Google Hacking. Maybe you've heard of it called that. And it's pretty much your tool to taking a normal search query where, you just go to google.com or whatever and you type in what is Nmap, to taking it to the next level using advanced search operators in cleverly crafted search strings, let's just say. And I'll show you how those work. And so you can do these on your own. And by doing this, you can penetrate into the depths of the internet that isn't easily accessible with normal search queries. So how do we do it? First thing we're going to need to do is open a web browser, anyone you want, even Microsoft Edge if you're one of those people, will work. You're going to head on over to Google And for the purpose of this video, I will just remind you, we are imagining we're performing a penetration test. And the reason I say that is because there are numerous different search strings, search operators that you can use that are Google Dorks. I'm going to use ones that would pertain to an actual pen test. At the end of the video, I will throw up a couple sites you can go to that actually have all of the different Google Dorks and all the different strings that you could check out if you wanted to take this further, which would probably be a good idea if you're serious about pen testing. But for us, we're going to start with the site operator. And what that does, it says search this site. Go figure, right? And I think the best site to start with would be linkedin.com. We could go to Facebook or Instagram or whatever, but being we're looking up only a business name because that's all the information we have, I think it would be best to start here. And it's my video, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to go to Nmap Software LLC, and we're just going to hit enter. And looky, first result we get a couple here, but what we're going to do for this video, we're going to go ahead and click on this because this looks pretty golden right here. We have the founder and CTO, Gordon. So we're going to click on it and we're going to head on over. And then remember, this is the first time we're finding out information about this. So what you want to do is keep that mindset. So now we found out that according to Gordon, he's the founder of Nmap and PCAP projects. So that's pretty good information right there, right? There's also information over here on the company. If we click on it, okay, so it tells us, oh, look, they produce the Nmap security scanner. I didn't know that. I love that software. So here Gordon is. Now I know Gordon is the founder of the company that creates my favorite software. But anyways, not going down that rabbit hole right now. What we're going to do, we're going to go back up and we're going to see what other information we can have. What happens if we click the contact info? Oh, look, there's his profile. That's great. But there's also other websites that we may be able to leverage. Scrolling down, we could see what posts he's put up. That's, it could be relevant or not. Like he's selling news in San Francisco. He's at the RSA conference. And you get you get the idea, the information that's out there, right? You can also see who's endorsing him. Maybe there are other workers. You could then leverage these other workers for, different means. Who knows? Maybe you take the pen test and you take it and you send a phishing campaign. You could leverage these people and, utilize their names in these campaigns and things like that. So you get it. You go down, you could say he's interested in Bill Gates and all that. So anyways, this is just one site and one person we found with all this intelligence returned. Before, all we had was the information of this is the company. Now we know a little bit of intel about the company. But let's take it a step further and see if we can gather a little bit more information using Gordon's name in a search, in a Google Dork, I should say. So let's go ahead and just wipe that out. And let's change this to, how about facebook.com? And let's put in, what should we put? Let's put in Gordon, what is this, F-Y-O-D-O-R, I think? Oh, look, it's kind of trying to be helpful. And let's see if it, okay, well, it was semi-helpful. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to hit return or search. It looks like we misspelled it, but it seems to have corrected it for us. And here we go. It looks like the first result we're coming in with, he's a hacker at a Nmap project. Sounds pretty promising. So let's go ahead and click on it. And let's mosey on over there. I'm not going to sign up for a Facebook account, but without even signing up for a Facebook account, we can kind of scroll down and get some more information. Here's another picture of Gordon. And what other photos are there? Apparently, we're not going to get to see those photos without, signing up. You could technically do that, I guess, if you wanted. I'm not sure if that would be against terms of services or whatever. So you'd need to verify that. But for the point of this video, we're just imagining we're not going to do that because we don't need to, because we can get more information without even doing that. Look, there's another picture. You can go and kind of go down and see what else is there. There's not a ton on Facebook, but you get the point. There's more information here. What happens if we clicked on this? That's what happens. It's kind of like a paywall, but a sign-up wall here. So anyway, we got a little bit more information out of that website using the same Google Dork. Okay, pretty good, right? That would then allow us, to take things, like I said, and go a step further. So what I want to do now is I want to know, okay, so we know now Gordon, we know what Nmap does. We know they do scanning, port scanning, or they created a software that does it for you. So we know enough information to now switch and use a different search operator. And we're actually going to use a couple of them together. And the first one we're going to do is file type, just like that, with a colon. And what you're going to do is you're going to pick what you want to do. And I'm going to go PDF, because that's probably what you're going to find most of out there. You could always do docx and XLSX and things like that. But I'm just going to go with PDF. And what I'm going to do is the second operator, I'm going to say in title, which tells it in the title, I want this. And what I want is port scanning, because that's what they said they do, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and run the search. And what I get right away is, that looks interesting, but that's not necessarily what I want. And then I scroll down, I get port scanning basics. So let's go ahead and check that out. I mean, that might be useful, right? We all want to know more about Nmap. I mean, it's such a wonderful tool. And as you can see, here is a PDF randomly out on the internet with information on Nmap. That alone is pretty helpful. Now, this might necessarily help you in a pen test per se, if you will. I mean, it could. It tells you more about exactly what the software they create does. But it gives you information with what you can actually find out on the internet using this. So you go back here, and you can scroll down, and there's even more. Here's a PowerPoint. I don't know why this showed up. Oh, because it said PowerPoint, but it's actually a PDF. And you go down, and it's just more information on Nmap, which is what we looked for. So with that said, we're going to kind of unimagine now that we are performing necessarily a pen test, but we're just going to see what information we can get using different operators out there. And what I want to do now is I want to change this over here. And let's just see. I don't know how great this will be, but we're going to try it, because when I mentioned it earlier, it sounded like it could be pretty cool. And we're going to do in title. And instead of that, why don't we do, well, I don't know if this, well, yeah, let's just go. We're going to go crazy. We're going to do or, because you can actually say, I want to do this or that, or you can actually, instead of or, use and. We're going to do file type, colon, and we're going to do XLSX, because I mentioned that earlier. And now we're going to say in title, I want to use port scanning, or how about just Nmap? Let's see what different results we get, because before we were looking for PDF, let's see if it's actually smart enough to give us returns for Word docs and Excel. And I think I did that correctly. Remember, you want file type. We got it twice, so we're going to be looking for either a docx or an Excel. And in the title, it needs to say port scanning or Nmap. So let's go ahead and search. And here we go. What are we getting right here? Oh, it's a doc. And as you scroll down, this is an Excel. I have no idea what that is, but it looks like a doc. And you can keep kind of going down. I'm hesitant to click some of these, but this one looks all right. So let's go ahead and click on it and see what we're getting here. But as you can see, the point was, if this wasn't an imaginary thing, we were searching for something else, those results would have come up with either an XLSX or a docx. So you kind of get the point of how these work, right? I'm not really going to download that. I thought it would quickly load, but you kind of get the point where I'm going with this using these search operators, because if you were just to go and type Nmap port scanner, you're going to get a whole different, you're going to go to Nmap, which is great. That's wonderful. But that doesn't give us a PDF. That doesn't give us what specifically we were looking for. So you can actually, like I said, you can narrow down what you're looking for. And again, I'm just scratching the surface for this video of what Google Dorking can do. Now let's just mix this up a little bit. So let's say, I'm just going to reset back to google.com because I'm a nerd and I like to do that. We're going to use something like a landing page for a popular VPN, right? Let's say in title, we're going to look for something, and we'll just say Global Protect Portal is a popular VPN software. So this means any website that says, Global Protect Portal for XYZ company, da-da-da-da-da. That's what we're hoping to get. So let's go ahead and search this. And as you can see, here you go. Set up. Oh, you go here. Here's the portal for this. You click on it. You can see this is where you would log in to their portal. And you can go down. So what I'm trying to show you here is you could use this. This looks like a VPN portal. So you could actually use this for a lot more than what I just showed you here. And as promised, here are a few sites that you can take Google Dorking even further. I want to show you right here. Whoops. It's going to be this site. This is a listing. And again, we just went over a few, but I just wanted to go over a few so you could see kind of how you would use, we did Nmap. We took that. We found out the founder. We found out, some friends, maybe some followers, some interest. You could use that in your, like I said, your phishing campaign that you're going to do, because every good pen test, you have to see what you can get off a phishing campaign, right? So you can craft this with the founder's name in it. You could found, all that information you could utilize to make yourself seem more legitimate, which is the whole point. But you go down, you can see there's entitle, which we used. There's site, which we used. There's file type, which we use. See, we were great. They're almost all in order, and I swear I didn't do that on purpose. But you can kind of go down and see, and then they give you some examples. And again, I will throw this so you can cut and paste it in the description of the video. But here's another one, which is kind of the Mac Daddy, if you will, of the Google Dorking. This is actually the database. And you can go through here, and as you can see, I'm just on page 1 of 529 of different search strings and what you can do with them. So that is pretty much Google Dorking in a nutshell. It is very powerful, and I wish I could spend more time on it, but I can't make a 12-hour video on this. And I want to show you some other tools, because there's a lot more OSINT tools than just Google Dorks. So that said, let's move on to our next tool. And our next tool, once again, requires the internet. And what we're going to do is, in case my little hint at the beginning there of this segment didn't give it away, we're going to head over to the website known as Shodan.io, if I could write that correctly. And what Shodan.io is, it is a search engine for the Internet of Everything. But for some more background on it, it is a search engine specifically designed to find internet-connected devices and services. So unlike traditional search engines like Google or Bing or Yahoo, whatever your favorite search engine is, DuckDuckGo, that index web content, Shodan indexes information about devices such as, say, routers, webcams, servers, printers, baby monitors, all that crazy stuff that people put on the internet that they probably shouldn't. It's the reason, honestly, why you should make sure whatever you put on the internet, first of all, you need to put on the internet. If you don't need to put it on the internet, don't put it on the internet. But if you do, make sure it is damn well secured, and that your firmware and everything else on that device, security patches are applied to it. Otherwise, don't put it on the internet, because there are sites like this that can and will, index it. So that said, what are we going to do it as, performing a pen test, if you will, or just doing open source intelligence gathering? We're going to use it to gather information about devices and networks so we can investigate further and, maybe use them for recon purposes. Now, if we weren't, specifically doing a pen test, you could also just do it to, like, let's say you were a company and you wanted to, because this is another service they offer, you wanted to monitor your internet-facing devices. You can subscribe, and then they'll tell you, okay, here are the devices you've put on that are registered to your company. Here's what the internet can see. Here's what you're putting out there. These are the services that are running on it. These are the ports that are open. These are the vulnerabilities for the software, if you have any, which I'll show you in a minute, because it does show you that information as well. You can also use it to map out your geolocation of where your devices are. Those monitoring and geolocation, those are paid services. What I'm going to show you today is just the free service, which will get you more than enough information to do some OSINT and some basic, intel gathering for a pen test. So what I wanted to show you here is the first search. And what we're going to do is we're going to search using an IP, and the IP is actually of scanme.mmap.org, because they have been kind enough to allow the world to use this site to test scanning. So what we're going to do is we're going to enter their IP, if I can find it. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and put it in, and we're going to search it. And look at these great results we get. So you can see down here, it is going to scanme.mmap.org. Over on the right, it actually shows all the open ports right up top, right? You click on them, they're going to drop down to them. But over here on the left, under all this, kind of who is information, you will, or domain lookup information, it actually shows the vulnerabilities. And scanme.mmap.org is purposely left vulnerable to certain things so you can find them, so you can practice them. It's a great website to utilize, especially Nmap. which is actually really what it's for. But you can use other tools to scan against it as well. And as you go down, you can see all the vulnerabilities. You can even see the CVE rating. You can see the articles. I believe if you click on them, yeah, see it will then give you further information once the website decides to load. Oh, well, apparently you got to log in to do that. So, but what you could do is you could take the CVE here, if I could copy it. Apparently it's not going to let me do that. But you could type it in, put it in the search browser, boom, it would pop up the results, go there and get more information, especially on how you would remediate that vulnerability. Or if you were a pen tester, how you could, exploit that vulnerability. So that's one site. I want to go back here. Actually, I'm just going to go up here. And we're going to use a new IP, which probably everyone out there knows, is Google's DNS servers. These are publicly available as well. And you can just see, you go there and you're going to get 53, which is the port DNS requires. So, of course, that's going to be open, right? Then you get 443 and nothing else. I mean, you can see the information about it. You can actually see the key, the public key and everything. And I think you can even see the algorithm and things like that. Somewhere down there. But I don't want to go down that rabbit hole right now. And you can actually see what it's doing. Click on it a little further here. And it will kind of give you the A records and name servers, text records, things like that. So you can get a lot of information. Let's say this was a company you were running a pen test for. You wanted to get some more information. You went in there, boom, you click on it. Like, let's say you click on their corporate website, you click on it, then you go down and you get A records to all these subdomains maybe you weren't aware of, right? And I'll just do one more for giggles. I believe this is actually CrowdStrike's DNS servers. We'll find out in a minute. And sometimes, just an FYI, the search can take a little bit of time. And sometimes it even times out. You might have to just hit the search again. I usually tell people just be patient, but sometimes you do have to click it. So this is interesting. It has a lot more open ports. Some of these look like management. So maybe this is actually more than just a name server. Maybe this is some of their technology. I'm not going to go into this too far, but you kind of get the point. It looks like a lot of it shows it was moved. Anyway, so that's what you could utilize. You could utilize this to look up information on those devices or even their website. It doesn't even necessarily have to be a webcam or whatever. Just the site. You're almost able to perform something similar to what a Nessus scan would do. So that is Shodan. I would, again, if you're taking this serious or you work for a company, subscribe to their services because the higher end packages give you much more detail and much more capability. But for the purpose of this video and, just going out there and practicing, this will get you enough, the free subscription. And they do have all different levels. So that is Shodan, and on to the next OSINT tool. So have you been owned? That is the question of the day. And luckily for you, there is a website that is wonderful to find out if you have in fact been owned. And it is Pwned.com. Now, what this website is, other than having such a very cool name there, is a online database of breaches. Think of AT&T that was recently in the news, or Ashley Madison, because none of the men would know about that. All those websites are taken together, thrown here in a searchable database. And when I say searchable, you can search for your email address. You could search for the client's email address. You could search for whoever you're doing OSINT, their email address, if you were able to gather that. You could search for domains. You could even search for passwords. So if you had a password and you were like, damn, I wonder if any of my passwords have been found in any of these things, you could actually enter your password if you're, I don't know that honestly I feel comfortable doing that, but you could, and it will bring up, if you have. And we'll test this in here, and what we're going to go ahead, we'll just use the Nielsen Networking admin at Nielsen, if I could spell here, networking, okay, slow down here, .com, right? Go ahead and search for it. All right, and we have been awesome here. No ownage or pwnage found. Now let's say we're not so great. Let's say we're jado@gmail.com, right? And let's say Jane or John went over there. Oh no, look, they've been owned or pwned in 115 breaches. And if you scroll down here, it actually shows you the breaches. Now I know a lot of you are like, okay, well that's great. What do you expect me to do with this? what you could do with this information is, first of all, you know they have been owned. You know they were involved in a breach. You know their email has been found on the dark web. That's what the breach is. This information, I should have started with that. This information was found out on the internet. And their email was part of this whatever breach we're looking at the time. So you could then go out and per se, let's say you wanted to, look up more information on that breach. You could look up more information on that breach. There's sites on the internet. I wouldn't suggest you go there unless you really know what you're doing. That actually you could go and probably find the intact database for download. There's lots of things you could do with this information. So it's more than just, oh, wow, look, they were owned by a lot of websites. Look at this person. My goodness, right? So that's how that can be used. You can also use it to notify you. And you have to go through this whole process where they verify that it's actually your email address. But in the future, if you wanted to know if your email address did get owned, if it was compromised, and if it was involved in a breach, here's where you could do the domain search. You actually have to go through the whole process of verifying that you own that domain. And then you can actually just go through and look at the general listing of all the breaches. So you could go through there and look at them all. I mean, you can see how little the bar is moving down. But this, again, is very helpful for that information. And not just, necessarily for ethical hacking, but it can be helpful just for regular, anyone on the street. That sounds really silly to say, but anyone anywhere, because let's just say you wanted to know if your information's out there. You go here, search your email address, and gives you a little peace of mind, right? So it doesn't have to be necessarily used just by cybersecurity experts or pen testers. It can be used by, your grandma and grandpa or whoever, just to give them a little peace of mind, or you use it to see if they have anything out there so you can help secure them, right? Because if they have a breach out there, and believe it, there's a lot of people, they see these breaches, they don't even pay attention to it. They don't change their password, but their password is now on the dark web. And if you have any kind of like credit monitor or anything that, looks at the dark web, you'll see this all day long. They find people's stuff out there. So this is how you could leverage that site. But again, you could take it, leverage it, go, okay, I know this company, they had a breach out here. You could go find that information and you could go see if those employees were told to change their passwords. Maybe they haven't. And luckily, it's going to be you that finds out they haven't before someone nefarious finds out, and causes some real damage to that company. So that's how you would leverage this as a penetration tester or cybersecurity expert. So that is that website. And again, here's that where you could actually put it in. I'm going to go ahead and put in QWERTY, right? The most famous bad password in the world. And let's see if it's been owned. I'm not going to, oh, well, I didn't want to do that, but oh, look at that. Only 10 million times has this password been used. So believe it or not, I don't know, this must almost be a joke, right? Because it's been found out there. Now I'm just going to put in some random characters to make sure this isn't just throwing up some weird data here to see if that password. See, so it is actually legitimately going out and doing it, which I know it was. I just wanted to show you for those of you that were doubting it. But again, this is a great website. I would suggest if you're going to use it, you can donate. I believe you can actually sign up for a subscription. But again, great website, great for OSINT. And with that, let's go ahead and move on to the next tool. All right, and for the next tool, we are actually not going to open up a web browser. Well, yet. We're going to start off by going to our application menu if you're in Kali Linux. Otherwise, you can simply open up a terminal and I'll show you how to start up the program from there. But the program we're going to start up is not the exploit database. That's kind of a spider. That might be what you're thinking. But we're actually going to be looking for the other spider in Kali, which is Spiderfoot. Now, what is Spiderfoot? Spiderfoot is, I guess to summarize it, it's open source. And it's a recon tool that automates the collection of intelligence, if you will, about a target. This can be a person, company, whatever. And it aids pen testers or cybersecurity professionals in a lot of different ways, but some of them are like you can identify subdomains, gather who has information. You can map infrastructures by, gathering various IP addresses. So you can kind of get like a network map, if you will. It will show you open ports. It will show you DNS records. It does a lot. I don't want to go into all the details because that would be a whole video on its own, and maybe I will do that. I will just say that it actually does, believe it or not, integrate with Shodan and Have I Been Owned or Pwned, which I showed you right before this on purpose because it does integrate. I'm not going to actually show you too much of that integration, but I did want to give you a heads up that those other tools, when you get on this one, if you happen to be really into, Spiderfoot over all the other tools I'm showing you, know that it does integrate with those other tools. So Anyways, let's get this fired up. So to start Spiderfoot, you're going to need to simply enter, whoops, if I'm on the right screen here, you're going to have to enter Spiderfoot. And then what you're going to want to do is enter right here. You're going to go -L, and you're going to want to put either localhost or the IP of your machine. I'll go ahead and put my IP here. And you're going to go there. And you're going to go ahead and hit enter. And I do not know how to spell Spiderfoot. Spiderroot sounds pretty cool to me. But anyway, we're going to start it up. We're not going to start it up. Third time is a charm. Spiderfoot. There we go. All right. So now it's going to start up. And apparently it's not going to start up. Why did it not like that? Did we not put port 80 on there? There we go. Apparently I suck. And I didn't do that correctly in 3 times. So anyway, 4th time was a charm today. And now that this is up, what you're going to do is you're going to open up your web browser. And you are going to go to your IP address, the one you put in there, which I wasn't about to go to. Maybe I should just stop the video now. 10.02.4 is my IP. And when you get here, you're going to get this pretty nice little GUI here. And I've already run one scan to show you what can be done. And let's take a look. So you would click on your scan here, and we'll run a new one in a minute. But you can kind of go through and see some of the information it gives you. Let's just scroll down here and say, let's say you wanted to know. So I scanned, where did I scan? nmap.org, scanme.nmap.org. So that's where we were. We want to go back here and we want to know, let's say we want to know what the parent domain is. Obviously, that's easy enough to know. It's nmap. But you can go back and you can say, let's see what else. What's interesting here. Hosting provider. You wanted to know who was hosting this website. You can go in here and see that Linode is hosting it. What else? I'm just random things here that pop up as we go down here. Hosting provider. I mean, the IP address, we don't really, that's pretty easy to get. What's a good one that you, DNS records right here. Name servers. So you can get the name servers. Go back here. You could get like, let's see here. I thought there was a little more on this. Okay, here we go. MX records. These are the mail server records. So you can kind of get the point. There wasn't a ton on this specific host, but there are a lot. You can even see their Google web analytics code and all that fun stuff. So there is some great stuff there, but let's go ahead and do a new scan. So what you would do is you would type in the name of the scan, and I'm just going to type new scan. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in the domain. I'm going to go with insecure.org, which is another site run by the people that run Nmap, which we discovered earlier, that allows you to run scans because you need permission to do this. So that won't get me arrested. So we're going to go ahead and go to insecure.org here. And when we're all done, we're going to pick which one we want. I'm going to go for all or nothing, right? And I just say run the scan. And honestly, this will take a little bit of time. So I'm going to stop right here and come back to you in a few minutes. All right, and I am back here. I let that run for a good, I want to say 7-10 minutes. And it is still running. But as you can see already, it's already found. Well, let's just go out here. It's a better way to look at it. So out here you can see it's already at 25, almost 2,400 elements, and it's still running. The Nmap scan I ran that did finish only had 179. So we should have a lot more data in here, if you will. So we're going to go in here, and we're going to want to go to browse. You can actually go to graph, but I find this a little overwhelming. It supposedly lists all of the elements, or I don't know how it decides what ones it's going to list. Because honestly, I looked at this and I just was like, dude, I don't need this. So I went back to browse because this is where you can see the elements and they're kind of grouped up in categories, which makes it a lot easier to dissect. So we're just going to pick some random ones here. Let's say you wanted to know their SPF record, right? There you go. There's their SPF record. Let's say you wanted to know their MX records. You go in here, there's their MX records, right? But let's say you wanted to know something more, like you wanted to know, God, my mouse keeps freezing now. You wanted to know the web server they were running. That's useful in a pen test, right? Let's say you wanted to know this, or you wanted to check out the raw data for the SSL certificate. Look at that. Pretty cool, right? Then you go back here. Let's just see what we got under usernames. And you go in here, and apparently they've found what they believe are usernames. That might be helpful, right? So you can kind of see there's a lot of great information this tool can dig up for you. All automated. Keep in mind, you just set it up, fire it off, and let it run. As long as your Linux box is up, it's going to be doing its thing. And I don't know how long, honestly, this is going to run for. So I think I'm just going to let this keep running while the video is going. And if I remember, I'll come back at it and look at it later on. We're actually nearing the end of the video, but I do have at least one or two more tools I want to show you, which we'll get to right now. All right, and for the next tool, we are going to go not to the web browser. I bet you thought I was going to go there, didn't you? No, we are actually going to stick in the application menu, and we are going to type in Recon. And full disclosure, because I'm feeling nice, you could actually open Spiderfoot and Recon straight from the command line. And I'll just show you that because I'm feeling giving. You would actually just go ahead and type in Recon-ng to get in there. I don't want to make those of you not on Kali Linux that don't have the cute application icon in there jealous. And I hope by doing that, you'll feel you want to return the favor and you'll go and give this video a like. And if you haven't subscribed yet, you'll do that, of course, because you don't want to miss any future content with, this great quality stuff we're putting out here. So anyway, now that I've done that, we are going to start up Recon-ng, which we did, and we're going to go over it. So I'm going to give you a quick summary of what it is. It is open source again. Everything we're showing you here is open source, free to use. That's why it's open source intelligence out on the internet. It's a very powerful recon tool or framework. It's more of a framework. It's very, let's say, Metasploit-ish. And FYI, these are okay to get. You're going to get these unless you've set up the APIs. These are meaning they're throwing up an error because you don't have any API set up for that module. So anyways, this is very Metasploit-ish. It's actually very similar in a way that where they're like you load and configure modules and you back out of them, but you load a module specific to the task you're trying to accomplish, which I'll show you in a minute here. But just an FYI, if you've used Metasploit, you'll feel pretty comfortable in this tool. A couple different ways the commands are structured, but same concept. It's very automated. Once you input the information you're trying to seek, you just fire it off and let it run on its own. It's very versatile, and it's used by a lot of penetration testers. A lot of people do security assessments with it. Personally, it's not my favorite out of all of them, but it is out there, and it does a great job. I'm just a little more comfortable with Spiderfoot, but to each their own. So what we're going to do to start, we are going to need my mouse to unfreeze, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to start with setting up what is known as a workspace. And to do that, you are going to need to type in workspaces. It's not workspace, which seems like it would make more sense, but I guess if you have multiple, maybe it does. And you can just hit enter to get the list of your options. But what we're going to want to do is create, and you would just put your name here. I'm going to put NN for Nielsen Networking. You put whatever floats your boat. Go ahead and do that. You're going to get those keys again, and you're going to exit. The reason you want to exit is that way when you come back in, you'll make sure that your workspace actually loaded. So what we want to do again, workspaces list, and there we are. So what you're going to want to do now is workspaces, and we're going to want to go to load, and we're going to want to go to NN. And there you are. You can tell you're in there just like in Metasploit. You get the little guy right there. So we're good. And what we're going to want to do now is install some modules. And you can go modules and get a list of what you can do. Not very many options here. But what we're going to do is none of that. What we're going to actually do is we're going to go modules install, and we're just going to install them all. Apparently we're not. I totally messed that up because we're not doing modules. That's why it didn't work. Guess what we're doing, people? We're doing marketplaces. My brain, it's too late to be doing this video. Marketplaces. And you hit enter, and you can see, now we can install. And we're going to install them all. And the reason we're doing them all is because why not, right? Why not? And what this is going to give you is a bunch of different modules. And you can see similar to, how in Metasploit they might have exploit, and then the version of the exploit, what operating system, or I think that I got those backwards. And then, it goes into like reverse shell or whatever it is, TCP reverse. So you go in there. So this is the same type of thing. You can actually import Nmap. You can do a lot of things. You can go down, credentials, you name it. Domains is a popular one. You'll see, I think that's probably the most, maybe hosts. But anyways, so you're going to go down, you're going to get all the API warnings again. That's totally normal. And we're going to start, and I think we'll start, and I don't want to spend a ton of time on this because we're about 40 minutes deep in this video, but just show you one I think is pretty useful, and it's going to be known as the profile. So what I want to do here is I want to do modules. I still think it's weird to not say module. It's modules load profiler. And what we're going to do next, we need to insert. So we need to do insert profiles. And apparently I did not do that right. And okay, I'm going home. I am home. All right, insert profiles. And now this is going to be where you're going to want to put in the usernames. I should have said this is going to be a profile where we are going to look up email information or handles from a profiler database. I should have started with that. I'm sorry. Again, it's late. I'm not making excuses here after I just begged for likes and subscribe. Anyways, let's get this back on the tracks here, shall we? So we're going to want to put in the email address of someone. So I'm going to go ahead and put in, let's go ahead and put in jdo at nmap.org. Actually, let's do Gmail. That looks right. And then you're going to want to just hit enter through all these. And then I'm going to go ahead and put in one more. And I'm going to put in, what was the guy's name? I've already forgotten. Let me find out. Let's do GFYODOR at nmap.org. I probably spelled that wrong. And we're just going to roll with it anyway. So, okay, so we're done now. And what we're going to do is we're going to type run, kind of like you would in Metasploit. So let's go ahead and do that. And it's going to go through and it's going to check all these different profilers. So we'll go ahead and let this run and I'll come right back to you. And it's still going. And still going. And you will see some of these, well, of course, right when I went to mention. The red just means usually it either timed out, the site it was checking no longer exists, or you occasionally will get tripped up or it will say you've tried to connect too many times. Kind of like if you were to do a Nmap or a Hydra scan, it will just time out and say, oh, you've tried to connect too many times, buddy. You're not. You're up to something bad. So anyways, that will stop. And let's just finish here. And if it keeps continuing to run, I'm going to go ahead and cancel it. We'll see the results we got halfway through because I don't want to make this video go forever. Okay, so it is now done. 7 total, 5 new profiles found. So what we want to do now is type in show profiles. And you can see, let's see what we got here. All right, check it out. So what you're going to get here, you're going to see that this guy here, Joe or Jane, either one, whatever floats your fantasy there, has an account on a dating Russian website, it looks like. And then over here, you can see jdo actually has a Facebook post. And so you can kind of go down and you get it. Look, and this actually makes perfect sense because we were even on there. So that's how you can use this. Again, this, like Spiderfoot, could take all day to go through to show you. And I don't have all day to show you. So I am only going to show you that. But now you know how to get in there. You know how to list the modules. And in the future, I'll probably do a video on this because I think this would be something to look into further. So with that said, we are almost done. But why don't we see if we can check on... didn't we have one running Spiderfoot here? Let's see. There it goes. All right, so it thinks it's still going here. So let's check it out and see where we're at. Okay, it's going to be rude. So go back here. And it is now at 3,300. Pretty nutso, huh? Let's just see. All right, yeah. It's just finding more of the same kind of, but that's pretty impressive. I'm just going to let that keep going. We'll go ahead and minimize it down here. And let's go on to our last few tools. All right, and if you are looking for a paid tool, if you're one of those players, I have 2 I want to show you that are kind of top tier. If you have the money or your company is willing to get you access to either one of these, I would suggest you do and you go for it. The first one I want to show you, and I'll probably butcher the name, is Maltego. And you're going to go like that, and you're going to type it in. And what it is it's an open source intelligence gathering tool where it's going to go out and it's going to gather information from people, groups, websites, domains, networks, organizations, and it puts them all together in a database. But instead of just looking at them, as data on a spreadsheet or whatever you're looking at, or a file, it actually creates a visualization, if you will, like a visual networking map, and links them all together. It's not necessarily a networking map, although there might be some aspects of that. But it will link it together. It will say, like, you're looking at JDoe. Here's JDoe's Facebook, but over here is JDoe's LinkedIn. And then off that LinkedIn, we found this and that. And so it links them all together in a visual layout. So it's very powerful, but it is also expensive. And you can register for free and all that, but don't let them fool you. To get anything good out of this, you now have to pay. You didn't always have to pay a lot, but now it's very popular because it's very good. But I was just going to give you an oversight of the expense here, just to kind of give you an idea of what some of this stuff costs here. Let's just go ahead. We're going to purchase the professional. So you're looking at €5,000 per year. So quite a lot of money. You can buy a lot of, skins in Fortnite or games or money in games or whatever you're into. If you're really one of those people, I would suggest this would probably be a better investment, to be honest with you, but I don't know if it will be as fun for you. So anyway, that is the first one, Maltego. Second one I want to show you is just as cool, and it's called Intelligence X. And thankfully that was pre-filled there. And this one, when you go there, it doesn't really tell you right away what it is, right? You're kind of like, wow, it's a bunch of numbers. That's cool. But what it is Intelligence X. Maybe they'll tell you more here. Okay. It is a search engine and data archive. And what I think is so valuable about it, it is pay to win again, it does cost money, is it actually has historical archives, which is really cool. It goes out and it keeps past versions of websites and documents that may not be available on the web anymore. It's pretty awesome. And it does a really good job of keeping your privacy, and it has some really good search capabilities. But again, it is a pay-to-use service. And I don't know if they show the price on here. There they go. So there you go again. For the researcher, you're only at $2,500 a year. But if you wanted to go up to use the API, it's a little more on. So these are great. You can look through them. But again, other than unless your company's foot in the bill or you have, maybe you're doing your own thing, I don't know that you need this. You definitely don't need it to perform pen tests and all that. But I did want to show you because, you got to show both sides of the coin here, right? So that is that. And with that, I think we're about at an end of the video. But let's go back and check out where we are at with Spiderfoot still running. Still running here. We're now at 4,600 elements. And we're looking pretty good there. So with that said, if you have enjoyed this video, I know it's a very long video, but I hope I gave you a lot to think about, even our imaginary pen test, that you can use. You can use these tools. Go out and practice them. Maybe I'll break down, like I said, some of the Recon and the Spiderfoot, and some of the other stuff we talked about into individual, more detailed videos in the future. If you'd like that, put that in the comments. Give me a heads up. But anyways, if you enjoyed it, please give me a like, subscribe for future content. I don't put out a ton of videos because I have a full-time job and a family and other things, but I try to do quality when I do. So hopefully you've enjoyed this video and you don't want to miss any. So subscribe and turn on that notification. Other than that, thank you for watching and have a great rest of your day or evening, whenever it is.